besides the fresh air, there's a health aspect to this. People get out and exercise on these trails. They can walk them, they can one-wheel them, they can hike up and down them, they can walk the lake loop that goes around the lake system, or the trail system that goes around the lake. That gets people out of their homes, away from their screens, certainly for kids. I think that's a wonderful opportunity to get them out in nature and maybe gain a skill or two. We are a city of firsts. We like to think of ourselves as a gold standard for small town, rural, economic development.
100%.
This wonderful trail system that we're standing at was one of the first and only trail systems to be completely funded by the city. So we see opportunity, we can actualize it, and then realize it through development like this.
It applies the same to our community. They're going to be able to come out here, something for the whole family to be able to do and just get them outside. Maybe they're still in that mindset that we don't have, a lot going on, or like that there's nothing to do in our community, and this may be the piece that branches them out. Maybe like a niche little thing that they do that they didn't think that our community has that we have now that they can use and access. We were a town with a college in it, not a college town, and I think we've seen a lot of shift, especially since my time at the Chamber in the past couple years. We've seen a lot of growth and momentum happening, and we've become more of a college town. The university invests in our community. We have, like you mentioned, a great city and county government, and everyone works together really well, and I think that you're starting to see a lot of the fruits of that labor happening.
Absolutely. We have a little bit of a boom going on in downtown with revitalization that's been brought forward with business grants through the Chamber in the city. And I think the forward-facing effervescence and focus on small business development has really opened the eyes of a lot of investors, and that's why we're seeing more and more investment take place in our area.
Like the locals have known about it forever, about, well, now of course our bike trails that we have now, but also the waterfalls, the hiking, the camping, the access to lakes, just all kinds of different things that people come to our community to do, especially when it starts getting warmer like it is today. We see a lot of visitors and people calling the Chamber, especially during like the fall and the summer months, and things like that. And I think that's a big advantage for us, because when they ask what is there to do in our community, there's so much to do, especially outside.
Natural amenity is world class here. You're just in the middle of nowhere, experiencing the outdoors. So we've got a black diamond, we've got a couple blues in there, we've got a green trail that's great for beginners. Everybody can get a piece of what Red Lick Mountain has to offer. Yeah, so the trail system itself is pretty unique. It has a diversity of tracks. It has some technical, it has some high-speed downhill. It has there are trails that can accommodate somebody of any skill level. And I think that's a great opportunity to bring not just one person, but entire families up here, and they all have something to enjoy. The Red Lick mountain bike trails is building synergy. We've pushed the ball up to the top of the hill, and now it's starting to roll downhill and gain momentum. And it's been fun to see that take place in real time.
We are so excited to have the monks from the monastery on campus, just because it is a week-long of cultural experiences that our community, the students, the faculty and the staff, as well as people in the Clarksville area, have a chance to see something that they've never experienced before. The skill and the patience and dedication of the monks as they create the mandala over the whole week is so impressive. The fact that we also have an opportunity to have a community mandala in which anyone can try it out. Two of my students, Miriam and Meralda and Hennessy's Cruz, designed the community mandala, and we've had so many people work on it so far. It's almost finished today, but we'll still have a chance for other people to come during the rest of the week. Really thanks to Nicole Sherman, who is the Director of Student Engagement, for bringing this opportunity to the Walton Arts and Ideas. We're just very fortunate that the Walton Family Foundation provides funding so we can have these different events on campus. I really enjoy it because not only do we get to see them, but we also get to talk to them and interact with them. And that's, I think, the most important, is the feeling of connection that you have with something different.
Yesterday we have started this mandala, so it takes on 3 or 4 days to complete it. In this process, what we have, first we draw the line, then we do not draw the lines whatever we think, but the lines are underlined in the scripture. So according to the scripture, we draw the lines, and then after finishing the lines, all the lines, then we are pouring the sands on that lines, and the colors and everything we use here are underlined and mentioned in the scripture. So according to the scripture, we drawing this mandala. After completing all the process, the teacher will dismantle the mandala. So we are also doing that same things here. First created the mandala, and then after completing the mandala, and just consecrate this mandala, and the people who want to see here, they will see this one, and then after completing all the process, we will dismantle it.
Welcome to the Great Broadway Musical Hour with your host, Pat Farmer. Stay with us for the next hour as Pat gives you his unique perspective on the classic musicals of the past century and more. Now, here's Pat.
Thank you, Neil Moore, for that introduction, and I'm so glad all of you have tuned in tonight for the first show of the spring 2024 semester. I am here in the studios on the campus of the University of the Ozarks, and I've got a new producer for the show this year. His name is Colby Feezell.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun, just being able to, learn about the type of music he likes to listen to. I'm the type of person I like to listen to all different types of music, and when I'm making my own type of music, I'll take little bits and pieces from other, different types of music. So just being able to hear that and be, put onto new music, it's just such a cool opportunity. Hear him be able to explain the history behind certain songs or history behind why a song is about what it is or what it may be. It's gonna be a really cool opportunity this semester, and getting to practice skills that I like to practice and do things that I like to do. So I couldn't ask for a better opportunity, to be honest.
We have a former faculty member. He's a former Walton Professor of Theater. I want to make sure I get the title right. And now a Professor Emeritus. He's retired. Dr. Pat Farmer. He hosts the Great Broadway Musical Hour. He's been doing that since around 2014. He has at least 2 international awards for the show. And one of the really cool things about it is that we always have a student producer engineer for him.
I taught a course called The Great Broadway Musical and enjoyed it very much. And I had been retired about 3 years. By that time, I was ready for something a little academic and something creative. I taught theater, so I was always directing, and I approached Susan Edens about the possibility of putting a show together, and she said, sure. The original idea I had was I was going to do one show a week and talk people through the plot. And I found that kind of boring, so I came up with the idea of creating shows around themes. People that we're going to be talking about tonight, and the first one is Gwen Verdon. Gwen Verdon primarily was a dancer.
You've been listening to the Great Broadway Musical Hour with Pat Farmer. Tune in next week, same curtain time, on Ozarks Radio KUOZ, a service of the University of the Ozarks in Clarksville, Arkansas.
The Marketing Club is a student-led group on campus. We currently have maybe around 15 students, which are mostly marketing majors or communication majors. And we all work together right now with the local chamber, which is the Clarksville-Johnson County Chamber, and we're helping them to promote the total solar eclipse that will be happening on April 8th. We also would like to help local communities or local persons to help them with their marketing, their social media, and just creating awareness for the local community overall. I connected with the chamber with Professor Brown, and when I came to her with the idea for the marketing club, she told me about working with the chamber, and I thought that was like the best idea ever, because that would be the best way to connect with local businesses downtown. I think that working with the chamber would help us to get our mission across, which is to create awareness for the small businesses, and also practicing our marketing skills, which helps us to develop a portfolio and get real life experience outside of the classroom. The marketing club is basically just helping to spread awareness of what will be happening. So recently we've done a post about what the total solar eclipse is, what events will be happening downtown. So there is this concert at the Lev. We also are going to have a fun run, we're going to have a masquerade party, and those are all stuff that the marketing club will be helping with. We are also creating content for tourism. So basically there's going to be persons that will go downtown, members of the club will go downtown, they will visit local businesses, make videos to share on the social media for tourists to have that information when they get here, where they can go, who they can meet with, what are stuff that they can do, and places to have fun, basically. For social media, on Instagram, our page is Eclipse Clarksville 24, and for Facebook is 2024 Total Solar Eclipse Johnson County, Arkansas. And we also have a website that you can view for more information, which is eclipseclarksville24.com.
This lecture is entitled Politics and Faith, a Power Couple. Will you please help me welcome to the University of the Ozarks, the Reverend Dr. Chris Jones.
Thank you to the University of the Ozarks for all that you all do, all the community members here, because I am walking around campus today and have visited before, the Clarksville community, the broader Johnson County community, you all enormously welcome. And that is the spirit in which I believe we can advance as a society. That is the spirit in which I believe we can actually solve our difficult problems and do it together. Chris Jones, I'm an Arkansas boy, born and raised in Pine Bluff, and my family was deeply involved in church, so a deep family of faith, but also deeply involved in living out our faith. And honestly, I think the most important thing that someone can do if they're struggling with the idea of giving up or not is to find folks like chaps, like Jeremy, and pull them aside.
I think that I love how he brought in science and faith and politics all together and weaved that together. And I like having a different voice other than my own coming to chapel. I think that's one of the big things what we try to do at Ozarks is try to give a lot of different voices and bring them to the table so that students can hear the different voices and discern different things, because I don't know it all and don't pretend to, so I want our students to have a well-rounded faith experience.
Public safety. My name is Adriana Giraldo. I was born in Cali, Colombia. When I was 9 years old, my mom brought me to the United States. So basically my whole life, I've been living here. I was raised between Miami and New York. And 3 years ago, I moved to Clarksville, Arkansas. I used to work for the Miami Gardens Police Department under the Traffic Unit Division with the School Crossing Guards Unit. Since I started working here, I love my job. I enjoy being around all the students, all the faculty and staff. I've been treated like a family member here, and I just love it.
Adriana's brought a lot to the department. She's brought heart, and she's been nothing but awesome. But what really makes her different is she's really got a connection with all the students that come up here.
When everybody's here, it's the best time of the day. Everything, I love it. No matter how many times they're calling us to unlock doors, to help them with the cars, I don't mind that. I just love having everybody here. To anybody that are looking for a good place for education, I recommend 100% the University of the Ozarks. Because like the motto, and sometimes we say is, everybody comes here as a stranger and live as a family.
My name is Jackson Chatelaine. I go to Arkansas Tech University. I work as a mechanic in Scranton, but in my off time, and honestly what I'm most passionate about, I work with the fire department and as a search and rescueman for the Logan County All Hazards Rescue Team.
406 is en route.
10-4-406. Central 403 is en route. 10-4-406.
Some of the more fun parts are our wildfires. Things where there's not property lost, things where we can really just get in there and do what we love, which is fighting fires. That's probably the best part of the job.
Hey, over there on that east side, it's going back towards the fence.
Over a year ago now, we had a really bad car wreck. We ended up having a fatality, and I knew the guy that was in the wreck. I heard about that, and then very directly after, I got to see the firefighters at work, and getting to hear about what those guys did and how they made a difference was very inspiring. And I was kind of looking for a way to give back anyway, and that gave me the oomph to get in there and try it.
Okay.
That's kind of what we say is like, once you fought a fire, you'll get the bug for it, and that just kind of puts you in the mood to do it all the time. Yeah. You're on a fire as a volunteer one time. After that, you're an unpaid professional at a fire. You're just a professional who's there of his own will. The raw ability to help people is really what I like about it. It's just, there's not many things like that where you just get the opportunity to just help people every day, and that's something that I'm really glad to be a part of.
Central show 406 and route back to the station.
I don't think I copied it arrived, huh?
So we get supper at trainings. They feed us. That's, I guess you could say, like the spiritual payment that we get. It all comes from the reward that you get that's not monetary. Every time that you get to help somebody, it makes it all totally worth it.
You should write that down right now. Hi, my name is Petron Brown.
Hi, my name is Riley Ann Hill.
My name is William Guillen.
Hello, my name is Irene Williams.
Hello, my name is William Cartwright.
So when I auditioned for this play, this character, her whole description was, she's too pretty for this. And working with Petron and discovering more about this character, she really, it's almost like she uses shallowness as like a protective layer over herself. And she's actually not content with anything that's going on.
Well, I'm playing Logan, and some people will say that he is like a childish character, but he is actually more than that. I mean, throughout the play you're gonna see that he is actually making jokes. He's just trying to be part of the team. He actually is following orders, especially Digi's orders, because he just wants to be part of the team. He wants to like get the attention of them and like be useful. But yeah, he's usually only taking orders until a point where he realizes that he also has a voice.
And Mandala is basically someone, she's described as a coward and maternal. And basically with that, she is like the mother of the group. She nurtures, she cares for everyone in a different way other than just friends or demigods hanging around each other.
For the character itself, Takazi is what I like to call the silent leader protagonist, or the wise hermit of the group, which is technically what a leader would do within a tribunal-like society. He speaks when it is only necessary to speak. He does not waste time. He is very bare bones, and he's very practical.
Starting from the beginning and just like working around, reading the script at the table, there's so many funny moments just like, and there's already inside jokes happening, and or even like Petron, I love the guy. He does like the craziest warm-ups, and like you feel so goofy and weird doing them, but everyone's laughing by the end of it, and I mean the warm-ups help so much. But I mean there's so many moments. We're laughing the whole time.
People lie a lot in real life. That's why I was like, I want to put this in a play, because people be lying too much in real life. So let's put it in a play. So I started this play in my dramatic writing class back at the University of Southern Mississippi, and I wrote the first draft over the entire course of that semester. And the thing that inspired me to write it was the fact that I was born in the Caribbean, and I had been so far away from home for a long time, so some of those Caribbean stories started to call out to me and sort of required me to put them on the page. So there's a lot of Caribbean influence in this play, and the reason is because I've just been away from home for so long, and it sort of bleeds out on the page. I don't set the play in the Caribbean, nor do I set the play in the USA or anything, or Europe. And the reason is because the stories that are told in the play can relate to someone who's in the Caribbean, to someone who is in the US, to someone who's in Europe. I think it's a universal story that I'm telling, so I think it was pretty smart to not place it somewhere specifically, so that we can all see reflections of ourselves no matter where we are in the world. I already feel like we gave away too much of what the play is about. I really want to go to Larry Ish and tell him to retract that email where he gives the synopsis. Because I think a big part of what makes the story work is that you don't know really what's going on. You don't know what's going on until you find out what's going on. I'm very, very excited for audiences to see the very beginning of the show and the very end. I'm not going to say what happens, but some crazy things happen. A lot of the actors that we have in the cast are younger actors, and sometimes I'm getting my MFA. I've been doing this for a long time, and sometimes I do some things that are really, really weird in the world of acting, in the world of physical acting. And anytime I get up there and do something weird, they all look at me like I'm crazy until they start doing those same things and they realize that, I'm not crazy, but those are the interesting things that we want to watch on stage. I always tell my cast, my number one motto is go stupid crazy.
Hello, I'm Genesis Zamora, and today I'm gonna show you how to take a non-traditional picture in the studio. My friend Paulina here is gonna help us with the demo. For these pictures, we want a soft shadow. So we are gonna use the soft boxes here in the corner.
We place the soft box over the reflector. We plug in the reflector. We want an intense light to see the detail of the products we are going to photograph. The intensity in our flash is half its capacity. We are going to increase the flash intensity to 1. To avoid sharp shadows, Paulina and I set a second reflector and soft box. The flash intensity will be 1 as well.
For the camera settings, we are gonna set the ISO 100. We are gonna set the shutter speed at 200 or less, and the f-stop will depend on what we read in the light meter.
There are 3 ways to change the setting in the camera. The first one is pressing the info button on the right side of the camera and make the change on the touch screen. We set the camera on manual mode. Here is our shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and light mode. This mode we will set it for studio flash. The second way to change the setting is by pressing the KUOZ button. In our ISO, we can change it by pressing the button that is above the KUOZ button. We change the settings also by touching the screen. The third way we can change our camera settings is by using the dials. By turning this dial, we can set the camera on manual mode. By turning this mode dial counterclockwise, we decrease the shutter speed. By turning it clockwise, we increase it. By turning this main dial counterclockwise, we increase the aperture. By turning them clockwise, we decrease it. Because we are in the studio, we are using flashes, and we need to fire them. We do this by connecting transmitters, one for one of the reflectors and one for the camera. Both transmitters need to be paired in the same channel. Because it's a non-traditional studio picture, we can be creative, using colorful backdrops and using elements to highlight the product. In this case, we will spray water on the drinks to give the illusion that the drinks are in a cool environment. With the help of the light meter, we make the final adjustment to the camera. The camera aperture will be 16.
And that's how we take an easy, non-traditional picture in the studio. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you, Paulina, for helping me with this demonstration. See you.
I'm Heath Spillers, and I'm married to Mary Jane Pridgeon, the oldest daughter of David and Reba.
I'm Lisa Welsh. This is my husband, Randy. It's been an excellent experience so far. Everyone's very friendly. The view is beautiful.
The Pridgeon family brewery has been open for over 3.5 years, and I'm involved in most aspects of the beer making process. This is the computer interface that we use when we brew beer. So this is the hot liquor tank, the mash tun, and the boil kettle. So all 3 tanks are visible here. There are some pumps, and we're able to input temperatures. This isn't a 3-barrel electric system, so when we make a batch of beer, we're going to end up with 125 gallons of wort, which will actually turn into about 95 gallons of beer. This tank simply is a water heater, the hot liquor tank. This is the mash tun. This is where the grain goes. So we mill the grain, we place it in this tank. This tank has a false bottom, kind of like a coffee filter. We'll introduce water. We recirculate water over the grain for about 60 minutes. We begin to transfer the wort into the 3rd tank, which is the boil kettle. And at the same time, we introduce fresh water to rinse more and more sugar out of the grain. And when we end up with about 125 gallons of wort in this tank, we'll bring it to a boil. And this is where we would add hops to the process. But once the beer leaves the boil kettle, it goes through the heat exchanger so that we can drop the temperature so that yeast can safely be pitched. Once the wort's in the fermentation vessel, it's going to stay here for approximately 10 days. So from the fermentation vessel, we're going to transfer it to a bright tank, and our bright tanks are kept in the cooler. So once it leaves the fermentation vessel, we transfer it into a bright tank. The bright tank, the intent there is that we can carbonate the beer. We ultimately will place it in a service keg, and we normally get about 18 kegs of beer per batch. Virtually every beer we make has quite a bit of this in it, and from there it depends on if it's a brown or a porter or a stout or a Hefe or IPA, and so those things will determine then what other grains are added, whether to give it particular colors or to give it particular flavors. So in this tank we have our next new release, which is a Mexican lager. So it'll be ready to go probably mid-April, late April. So it's actually a beer for my son's birthday, Ethan. And Ethan and I share a birthday. It's June 8th, and he'll be 21 and I'll be 50.
We are right outside Ozarks Outdoors, where students can go to rent bikes, to go riding places. They can go and do events that they'll have here. And we're about to go inside and watch as Drew Lindsay walks us through repairing a bike. Let's go.
Drew Lindsay. I'm a junior. My major is physical education. So this right here is just going to help tighten up the brake. Loosening this up. Pulling this metal part forward. And then tightening it right back up. Helps tighten this brake. And then we can check and make sure that all the gears are working by pressing these. It's going to switch back here. Good brake. Same thing to the front. Check the brake. And then we can test these gears right here on the other side. Right there. Works pretty good. Nothing wrong with the derailleur. Airs are nice and aired up. Yeah, it's a good bike. Nothing back here is bent. Let me check to see if the pedals are straight or not. So So you stand back here, and if everything is symmetrical, it's a good bike. Looks good to me.
Hi, I am Alexis, and I am the print shop coordinator at Pressed Ink here in Clarksville, Arkansas. So I mainly run the screen printing department and customer service, but I also help oversee engraving and embroidery and sublimation. I think my favorite part about working at Pressed Ink is, one, getting to work with all the amazing students that come and go. The second favorite would probably be just seeing the spark in people's eyes when they come in and their design has actually came to life on the shirts or the trophies or anything that they bring in or buy from us to get any design on it.
So a little bit of embroidery is taking the customer's logo, bringing it to life, and putting it on their clothes. Like this right here, I'm doing one for a local business. So we take their logo, we digitize it, and then we sew it onto their garments. So after everything's finished, here you go, final result.
We provide a service to the community of custom engraving, printing, on t-shirts, embroidery for businesses and their employees. We also get to work with the students at the university and give them a little bit of what it will look like out in the job market and how a real retail business works.
This was KUOZ Story Lab. We will be back in April for the Total Solar Eclipse 2024. See you soon!
All right.